common causes of serious work-related injuries and death. Employers must take measures in their workplaces to prevent employees from falling off over platforms, elevated workstations, or into holes in the floor and walls. As you can see here, slips, trips, and falls makes up a majority of general industry accidents, and motor vehicle crashes are the second. Ladders, scaffolds, and scissor lifts have their own fall prevention requirements. Regardless of height, if a worker can fall into or onto dangerous machines or equipment, employers must provide guardrails and tow boards. Now, at this point, we all should know what are we aiming to achieve here, what the students should aim to achieve here. Now, for the terminal objectives, given the current OSHA and industry information regarding general industry worksite illnesses, injuries, and/or fatalities, the students or we will be able to recognize how to protect ourselves from fall hazards. Now, for the enabling objectives, we have to identify the types of fall hazards associated with workplace environments, and we should also identify the methods to eliminate or protect against fall hazards. Fatal fall. Now, from the word itself, it's a deadly kind of fall. Now, there was a sporting goods retail store worker, which was an 18-year-old male that died from a head injury after falling approximately 12 feet from the top of a shelving unit. When the incident happened, the victim was in the process of retrieving a large heavy box from the top of an H-frame shelving unit. A witness reported that as the victim leaned over and grasped the box by its nylon shipping bands, one of the bands broke and the victim fell backwards off the H-frame to the concrete floor. Now, luckily at the time of the incident, there was a registered nurse who was shopping in the store, and when she saw what happened to the victim, she rendered a cardiopulmonary resuscitation to the victim. Now, the store's manager as well called 911, and emergency rescue personnel and the police arrived within minutes. However, the victim was life-flighted to a nearby trauma center where he died later that day from his injuries. Now, what are the common fall hazards? In the first photo, this is a photo of two platforms on either side of a bucket conveyor. Access to the platforms is provided by the one ladder between them that stops at the level of the platform. Employees have to climb to either platform from the ladder. Once there, they can step across the opening to the other platform, and when they have to access to the conveyor for routine greasing, or climb back down on the ladder and then climb back up to the other platform. In the photo 2, employees are exposed to a 25-foot fall from conveyor platform with defective guardrail. Now, on the third photo, here employees were exposed to falling 14 feet from the rooftop of manufactured homes. Employees were working on the roof of manufactured home, installing roof decking, roof sheathing, and electrical wiring without controls to prevent falls. Another set of common fall hazards is shown here in the photo 1. This is a photo of a service pit used for oil changes and other vehicle maintenance, and the pit is 50 inches deep. In the second photo, sheet metal not attached to vertical steel beams. Sheet metal pushed away from the floor, allowing employee to fall. In the third photo, shelving units used for storage. Workers would climb up, then stand on top. Another set of common fall hazards, as shown here in the first photo again, is an industrial tanks that often require worker access on top. In the second photo, man climbing off or onto the tanker ladder and walking the top of the tanker. On the third photo, employees working above 4 feet on machine platform without fall protection.
So according to OSHA, there are three hierarchy of fall hazard control. The first line of defense, which is to eliminate the fall hazard. The second line of defense, which is to prevent the fall. And the third and last resort is to control the fall. So now, let's begin with the first line of defense, which is to eliminate the fall hazard. Eliminate fall hazards work from the ground, such as gauge a top of tank move to ground level, and the use of drone equipped with camera for inspections at heights. So if workers must access the top of a tank to read a gauge, moving the tank gauge to ground level would eliminate the need for fall hazard exposure. So as a worker, you could suggest such. Another example would be using a drone equipped with a camera to inspect at heights. Eliminate fall hazards to hole covers or grates. So this is a very effective way to eliminate a fall hazard, and it is designed to withstand intended load. Secured, bolted, hinged, latched, and locked. So covering floor openings is a very effective way to eliminate a fall hazard, especially if access to the hole is rarely necessary. When a routine travel over the opening is necessary, often a cover is used, such as a trapdoor. Covers must be designed to withstand the potential load that may be placed upon them. So for instance, a 36 by 36 floor hole cover that will only experience foot traffic would be much different than one experiencing foot truck traffic. And they must also be secured, bolted, hinged, latched, and locked to prevent accidental displacement as well. So it should be noted that the employer should communicate who is authorized to open or to remove the cover, and that when the cover is opened or removed, another means of protection is necessary. When the floor opening cover is open, either a temporary guardrail must be in place or the opening must be constantly attended by someone until closed. So now let's proceed to the second line of defense, which is to prevent fall. So, guardrails. Guardrail systems are vertical barriers consisting of top rails, mid rails, and intermediate vertical metals. Guardrail systems can also be combined with two boards, which are barriers to prevent materials and equipment from dropping to lower levels. So in standard railing, it consists of top rail, mid rail, and posts. Height from the upper surface of top rail to floor level is 42 inches, and the mid rail height is 21 inches. And in standard two board, it's 3.5 inches high, with not more than 1/4 inch clearance above the floor. So another is to prevent the fall, fences, and barricades. So it prevents unauthorized employee exposure to fall hazard. Employer authorizes access, and authorized personnel must then be protected from the fall hazards within. So fences, barricades, and locked doors, whether inside the facility or outside, can be used to prevent unauthorized access to areas where a fall hazard exists. Only authorized and trained employees would have access, and once inside, a method of fall protection must be implemented for the unauthorized worker. Prevent the fall, personnel or restraint. Prevent falls by keeping workers from reaching fall hazard, comprised of a body belt or body harness, and anchorage and connectors, often used when section of guardrail or hole cover is temporarily removed. So fall restraint systems prevent falls by keeping the workers from reaching a fall hazard. While fall restraint systems are not mentioned in OSHA's or OSHA's fall protection rules, OSHA will accept a properly used fall restraint system in place of a personal fall arrest system when the restraint system is ridged so that the worker cannot get to the fall hazard. In effect, if properly used, the system tethers a worker in a manner that will not allow a fall of any distance. The fall restraint system is comprised of a body belt or body harness, and anchorage connectors, and other necessary equipment. Other components typically include a lanyard and may also include a lifeline and other devices. So, it is noted that a self-retracting lanyard is not appropriate for a fall restraint system unless the worker cannot reach the fall hazard when the lanyard is fully extended. So always follow the manufacturer's instructions or consult a qualified person to ensure proper installation of anchor points. OSHA recommends that fall restraint systems have the capacity to withstand 3,000 pounds of force or twice the maximum expected force that is needed to restrain the worker from exposure to the fall hazard. And as a result, fall restraint may be a viable way to provide fall protection in situations in which the employer has concerns about the adequacy of available anchorage points for fall arrest equipment. So it is crucial to know the ABCs of personal fall arrest systems. The A stands for anchorages, B for body harness, and C for components such as connectors like snap hooks or D-rings, connection points, lanyards, deceleration devices, lifelines, and etc. So it must be installed, used, and maintained according to the manufacturer. A personal fall arrest system is a system used to safely stop or arrest a worker who is falling from a working level. It consists of anchorage, connectors, and a body harness. It also may include a lanyard, deceleration device, lifeline, or suitable combinations of these. It must be set up to ensure that the worker will not free fall more than 6 feet before the system begins to arrest the fall, hit the ground, or an object below. Thus, the higher the anchorage, the better. So shown on the pic is the PFAS temporary anchorage. So anchorage connectors, they are designed as the intermediary for securing a connecting device to an anchorage. The anchorage should be easily accessible, located at a safe distance, and support 5,000 pounds per worker. So another is the permanent anchorage. This is for areas with predictable and repetitive use. Permanent anchors may be installed. The full body harness. So there are many types of full body harnesses, regardless of make or model. They must be properly sized for the wearer, inspected, used, and maintained according to the manufacturer. And this is the connecting components. So shown on the photo 1, the first photo, a retractable lanyard designed to greatly decrease the free fall distance by locking up quickly, similar to the shoulder belt in a car. And the second photo, a 6-foot shock absorbing lanyard. The shock absorber decreases the forces of the fall arrest in the body to save levels when properly used. And lastly, the third picture, that is a 6-foot non-shock absorbing lanyard, which is often used for fall restraint.
The previous reporter has already discussed two from the hierarchy of fall hazard controls. So I'm tasked to report the third one, which is controlling the fall itself. When we say controlling the fall, it is by the use of positioning devices. And when we say positioning devices, this consists of a body belt and connecting device as per shown on the photo on your screen. So the main purpose why they use this is that it keeps the workers from falling while allowing their hands to be free to perform the work they have. So this is very self-explanatory, and as you can see in the picture, the worker is not constrained by the belt itself, and he is very free to perform the task at hand. Moreover, when we say controlling the fall, it is not limited to those protective devices we wear, but it also includes safety net systems, because the main point of controlling the fall is just in case if prevention and elimination doesn't work. This is to prevent further accidents from happening. So when we say safety net systems, this consists of specially designed mesh nets, panels, and connecting components. So they must be designed, installed, and maintained properly so that when the actual accident happens, there is a just-in-case installed in the area. We have next number 4 under employer requirements is training. So your employer must be able to train you on the following. First, fall hazards associated with your facility and your work. So this is not just limited to the facilities or the machines or equipments used, but also the entire process and fall hazard equipments that are used, because all these things would be ineffective if the employees don't even know how to use them. Second is the use of methods to protect you from those hazards. Now, since you already have oriented or discussed this equipments, it would only be best if you discuss how these methods are affected and how it should be used properly, which leave us to the third one, the proper and safe use of any personal fall arrest, positioning, or fall restraint systems. So as what I said on the second one, this all would be ineffective without the proper and safe use, because buying those would be considered irrelevant if the workers themselves don't know how to use it. And lastly, all this should be applicable by OSHA standards. Next, still under employer requirements, is inspection. So after all those things have been said and done, your employer must inspect first the workplace for existing and potential fall hazards. Second, the fall hazard controls used, such as guardrails, covers, grates, and anchorage points, so that from time to time we'd be able to make sure that all those are working properly and they'd still be prove themselves effective against any accidents, so that when the actual accidents would happen, any casualties would be prevented. So lastly, you must also inspect your PFAS, or positioning and fall restraint hardwares, before each use. Next, under employer requirements, is the availability of a rescue plan. So given you already have done everything, starting from the elimination of the fall hazard, preventing of the fall hazard, controlling of the fall hazard, and still na-fall gyapon ang person. Isod kayo nang na-fall, no? But anyways, the availability of a rescue plan is still a need, because if ever there is a chance for us to save one life, which is just hanging by a thread or hapit na, nahimong 50-50, the availability of the rescue plan would prove itself important. The employer must develop and communicate this rescue plan to all that are involved. So, if you have a rescue plan, but several departments from which the accident has happened did not know how to operate and use that rescue plan, so it would be ineffective na naman. So it would be best that all that are involved, and from one department to the other, they would be able to know how to do the rescue itself and what to do in case this actually happens. If ever na fall jud abi, at least na mabuhat, para dili pud dili masakitan, dili mabuhat ng casualty. It would be best to utilize and disseminate that rescue plan. Next, we have construction worksite safety. So to better explain this part of the report, let's just first watch a video.
Because a scissor lift is also considered a mobile scaffold, your organization may require you to wear a personal fall restraint system during use. When using fall protection inside a scissor lift, the fall protection device must be attached to the manufacturer's designed anchorage point inside the work platform. Older lifts may not have an anchor point. If there is no anchor point, the fall protection device cannot be used. Never use a guardrail as an anchor point. Lifts are to be used only by authorized persons. Never stand on or climb over, under the railing, and keep feet on the working deck of the lift. Do not elevate yourself while in the lift by using boxes or buckets.
So as you can see on the video, they have used a lift, and there was this protection fall equipment tied to his body. It was a belt tied to the anchorage point of the lift. So I think this is not very common in most of the Philippines construction work site, and this is simply an eye-opener for us, or simply a reminder that if we're going to go on the track of being safety officers, we have to take these things into consideration, because if we're going to look at the current state of construction jobs in the Philippines, the workers' lives are always at stake, mainly because of the reason why is that some of these equipments are not being used. Kaya if mo lantaw ganita sa mga kapanrabaho, wala gani sila aning mga safety belts, wala kay lifts. So we have to consider this if pohon we'd think of going in the path of being safety officers. That's it for our report. Thank you so much for listening. So if ever you have questions, we are ready to hear them and be able to cater and answer them for you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.